Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 3. It has definitely been an interesting and turbulent ride to get us here, but we're super excited to be doing our episode 3, which covers business efficiencies. The business efficiencies we'll be talking about today are mostly related to your customers, how you engage with your customers, and communicating better to them and services around that. The topics that we're going to be covering today basically are upselling your itinerary when quoting CR options available to you and popular features in Res Request. And so, as per usual, we have always interesting panelists that join us. And today is not different in any way. We have another group of power panelists from different places in the industry. So let's look at who we have today. We have Paul Deval, who's the founder of Way2. And I will go a little bit more in detail on what Way2 is just now. And then Angie Robinson, head of customer support for Res Request. Jill Bennett-House, co-founder of Res Request. And then David Swanepoel, commercial operations manager for Guest Review. So it is definitely a great team to have on board, and we're excited to have you all. Thank you so much for joining us, everyone. So just to move on to the next team, to the next slide. Before I actually go there, let me just lay what's happening for today. As I've mentioned, we are talking about business efficiencies, and I've covered what we'll be covering in that. But it is our fun to make sure that we cover some data and checking what's happening in the industry. So right now we'll go to our in-house guru specialist in terms of data, Mr. Tom Emery. He's not in with us today though. So I'll just play a video that he has sent through, and let's hear from him about what he has to say about what's happening in the industry. I hope the sound comes across well. Please let me know.
Hi everyone.
Michelle.
A big thanks to Res Request again for letting Insight is an application that lifts your Res Request data and redeploys it inside a best-in-its-class business intelligence tool called ClickView. The application is available in the cloud and focuses on shortening reporting turnaround times with many of our pre-built reports and charts, as well as many customizable options. We believe that the application empowers the user towards better decision-making and a real grasp on the trend affecting your businesses. Res Insight is already deployed to many teams right across Africa. And if you have any questions or would like to see it in action, please contact Res Request support and they'll introduce us. On the other hand, Tourism Today is an industry-wide collaboration that aggregates and anonymizes data from participating hotels. We have a number of participating PMS vendors and already have more than 400 hotels across 11 countries in Africa that we extract data from. But we've only just gotten started. The web version is now live, and we are onboarding new systems and hotels as fast as we can. We aim to have several thousand hotels so that Tourism Today users will have access to the trends at play in tourism across the continent. On to some Tourism Today stats. Nearly 2 weeks ago, we saw the UK government make significant changes to their traffic light system, and the US open their borders for the first time since the pandemic started. I've been eagerly watching the numbers to see how those decisions would translate to feet on the ground in Africa. Given that Kenya has fallen off the UK red list, I thought it would be fun to start here. In this simple chart, we can see bed night numbers being booked by week this year for travel into Kenya. I've just looked at the last few weeks. And what is really encouraging to see here is the spike over the last 2 weeks in bed nights being booked by travelers originating in the United States and the United Kingdom. This is certainly encouraging to witness an immediate bump in bookings as travel regulations allow travel. In the next slide, I've charted some of our destination countries across the last few weeks and bed nights being booked into them. Again, the numbers for Kenya in green immediately validate that the willingness to travel is strong and that the ability to do so is being realized. Looking more broadly across Africa, and I'm looking at the left-hand side of the chart here, there is a notable strong performance in bed nights that have been booked in the last 30 days compared to the same 30 days in the gloom of 2020. Notably, South Africa is down on last year's numbers fractionally, but a really strong domestic appetite for travel around December was at play last year. Looking at the middle chart, the line graph, a hefty chunk of that travel is for the next 3 months, with another spike in mid-2022. This highlights a strong domestic interest in travel in the near term. But it does certainly appear as though most countries are starting to narrow the gap between historic sales performances and the trends of the lockdown months. On this last slide, I've cherry-picked the US and the UK source markets, and we can see in the middle chart, the line graph, there is a strong demand for mid-2022 travel, along with another significant bump for mid-2023. We are keeping an eye on the short-term peaks to see if last-minute travel starts to fall off as we transition to a world with more open borders and with fewer discounted rates. If anyone has questions on how, why, and where to access tourism today, please get in touch with Res Request Support, and they'll put us in touch.
Thanks a lot, Dr. Tom.
Hi, everyone.
Let's see. There we go. Okay, thanks a lot, Dr. Tom. Yeah, I'm used to Google Meetings, and Google Meetings, when you mute yourself, it doesn't mute the video. It looks like I may have muted about 20 seconds of Dr. Tom at the start. Apologies for that. We affectionately call him Dr. Tom just because he's the doctor of data. Now I'm about to move on to Paul. I did mention Paul is the founder of Whereto. Paul's company is most notably responsible for creating the most divine digital brochures. Whereto is a global brand enabling thousands of properties and agents across the world and today we'll explore an integration with Whereto and how that works. So, and as we're about to move on to Whereto and Whereto being a digital brochure, I can't help but harken back to last week when Nicole was talking about dressing up the bride. I know you're not there, Paul, but basically what she was saying that the industry is opening up. And as you heard Dr. Tom also say the same thing there, that the industry is opening and people and properties should really be dressing up the bride and getting themselves ready to be out there, to be advertising themselves, to be selling themselves and promoting themselves in different ways and means. So knowing that's the case, I think it just makes it very, very important to have someone like you, Paul, to talk about Whereto as a platform that enables the travel industry, and how can Whereto help Res Request clients improve the customer journey that you offer. Yeah.
Cool. Is it me?
Yes, it
Can you
is.
hear me? Cool. Okay, great. Firstly, thanks to Jill and Tando for inviting me. I'm very pleased to be here. I know that our common clients are working more and more together, so it's a great opportunity just to get to those ones that have not seen the opportunity to do things together. Yeah, I think I'm just going to get on to my other thing. The nice thing, I enjoyed that the little brief summary from Dr. Tom. We are seeing very similar patterns, and it's amazing when Germany turns on, we see Germany traffic picking up. It supports what's going on. It's not necessarily groundbreaking. But yeah, I think we here in Southern Africa, we're really looking forward to the UK coming, because the UK, although it's starting to climb up a bit, it's all going to a little bit further north. So yeah, the positive thing is that I think it's coming back. I don't think this is a false start, and I think, as Ntando said, it's time to start dressing up the bride for the wedding that's coming. Okay, so when we started we basically were trying to set up a platform. I'm an engineer, and I got involved helping a friend in the tourism industry. I looked at the tourism industry and the problems I was trying to help him solve, and they actually weren't his problems. They were the tourist industry's problems, the way it was structured and the way it was set up and the way they did things. From my not knowing anything about the travel industry, I thought it was a little bit archaic. So we set out to try and say, listen, I didn't want to be in travel. I decided that, but I had ideas of how we could help the travel industry. So we set up trying to solve industry problems, and we just happened to stumble on certain products like the itinerary builder, the brochures, and all those sort of things that have stuck. But when we started we had bigger things to do. I think the tourism industry is hugely complicated. If you think it's made up around the world of small little SMEs scattered all around the world with different languages and different geographies, different time zones, different cultures, all doing things differently, and they now all using different technologies. It makes it very hard to coordinate a single trip. The poor agent is having to, on the other side of the world, is having to kind of herd sheep, and so a long trip there might be 30 suppliers or products that are included in that trip, and he needs to make sure that they all perform so that the client at the end of the day has a fantastic trip. So it's a very complicated industry. Tando, the next slide. So looking at this thing, the biggest issue is content. So if you look at, we just looked at the way content was managed. Content sells travel. And the way that content was being passed around made it possible for companies to have good content and deep content. So really, you're wanting to have a lot of as many pictures as possible, and you want them of as good a quality as possible, plus all the information that's required to make the sale. So we looked at this, and we went to Indaba, and everyone was passing around discs and flash drives, and then it became Dropbox. But the bottom line is that the industry is manually passing information around. It comes in every lodge sends information in a different structure, and you get bombarded with content. So we said, listen here, what we need to do is to create one place where everyone puts the content and everyone can access it. So really, the technology allows us to standardize the content, so all the content's the same. We organize it in a particular way, and then we centralize it so that people can access it and get all the information in one place instead of having to look in thousands of different places. The next thing, it is important to make it simple, make it free for anyone. Once the information is in the system, it's free for anyone around the world to use in different ways. And in that way, all the lodges have amazing content. However, that content is hard to get to distribute. So now, if the suppliers put it into one place and everyone can get it from one place, it just simplifies that system. Then, now that we've got the content in one place, it's about how do we move it around efficiently and make it easy for everyone. So the next slide. So basically, we created a content management system, and then we had to create distribution tools. So the distribution tools, we looked at the traditional paper tools, and we made them interactive and with deep content. So the first was the iBrochure. The iBrochure is for properties. This can be rebranded, it can be done in different languages, and it's basically a digital representation that anyone in the world can pick up within seconds, rebrand, and send to their client. The next was digital itineraries. Everyone needs to collect all the services and produce itineraries, and so we created a collection of properties and activities, and those are the digital itineraries. This has probably been our most successful product. We've got 1,400 DMCs and agents around the world using it to display their trips. We also did digital catalogs, which are a collection of the iBrochures and itineraries. So you can supply it to an agent with their branding on, so it effectively takes over the catalog. We've got a digital a content portal where all the information is available. You can access the brochures, you can download all the media, you can upload specials, and that's available to anyone in the world to use at no cost. We also have APIs, so now the information is all in one place. Companies can come in and link into us, and as you say in the middle of Kenya in the bush, upload pictures, that information gets distributed to the companies that use us, and there are big companies that use our data. And then also people share using Dropbox, but once again, as I said earlier, if you use Dropbox, it comes in, every company sends it in different formats, and there's a lot of work trying to make sense of it. So we've created a file, you can file share through where to, and then all the information being passed around is in a structured and organized manner. Right, and then just in terms, we've been doing this for 12 years. We've done a lot wrong during the time, and we've done hopefully enough right to keep us going. But we've got to a point where we basically are 1,400 clients paying us to build itineraries in our system. They're in 50 countries, and they operate in 15 different languages. We've got 195 people using our content API. So if your information gets put into Where2, there are 195 companies that are using that data. So for instance, TourVest is one of them. So if you upload your pictures and TourVest use you, those images get sent through to TourVest so they can use them. So that's quite a big pipe for you to get your best content in. I think in January 2020, the month pre-COVID, we had 550,000 people came in to access our content. 69,000 itineraries were built, and over 600,000 views of those itineraries. Now, if you think if your properties are in those itineraries, they are getting displayed. It's the trader using it, and then they're sending it to their clients. So it's the perfect audience. And from my side, we haven't really been good at messaging. We're not terribly good at marketing, but if you're a property, this is a massive channel, and it's basic. Yeah, it's almost free. So, yeah, my advice to you is dressing up the bride. You need to make sure that your best content's in Where2. It's well ordered. It tells a story, and we'll do the rest. How Where2 and ResRequest work together? I think we can help you get your content out, but ResRequest have done a really nice integration that allows you, if you're collecting properties or you're putting an itinerary or a circuit together, you can display it using our digital itinerary. The benefits of that is that it's efficient. So you basically build your itinerary in ResRequest, and we send that information to Where2, and you get a Where2 itinerary. So the reason why the itineraries have been successful is that they convert a whole lot better. We were the first to produce digital itineraries, and the conversion rates were huge, or depending on the companies, some really got their conversions went through the roof. And then also it's really about collaboration. It's a complex industry. We need to share the work, we need to collaborate, and connect better. So we used to have relationships, and where people manage the relationships, but now we've got technologies, and technologies are becoming more and more important, and they need to talk to each other. Otherwise, it's just another form of relationship. So I can have the best relationship with somebody, but if our technologies don't talk, it can make our relationship quite difficult. So think of Where2 and ResRequest. It's a connection, but it's also enabling relationships. So also, if you've got third parties in your trip, you're getting the information from third parties through Where2, and then you're able to send itineraries if you produced an itinerary, you could send it to the 1,400 people using our system and any agent that might use our system. So it allows you to get other people's information, and it also allows you to pass information on through Where2. So I would highly recommend. I think Jill and the team have done a good job. By all accounts, it's working really, really well. And it would be great to see more of the Res Request clients using the Where To and Res Request connection. So really, hopefully that's given you some insights into how Where To can help you and help you dress up your bride. I would welcome you to get hold of me, Mike, directly. If you're wanting to, I think, get hold of Res Request, and also get hold of me. I will make sure that you attended this webinar. We'll try and ensure that the salespeople give you favorable rates and make it as easy as possible for you to connect the two systems. So I think, unless there are questions, that's me. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Paul. It doesn't look like we have questions for now, but I'm sure they might come in later. Yeah, it's quite interesting as I go to you, Angie. I know you obviously as head of support, you get a lot of these conversations going through from all our clients, and I know we actually did an enhancement to the Where To integration as a COVID initiative that has specifically come to COVID. So I'm pretty sure you're going to be touching on those points as you talk. So, and so can you just really direct us and help us understand on how well the integration, or how the integration works?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Ntando. Yeah, so it's a very simple integration just in terms of how seamlessly it works between the two systems. As long as you've got an operator account set up on the Where To side and your properties and extra services that you offer, extras being balloon rides, game drives, all that fancy stuff. As long as it's set up on your Where To account and in your Res Request system, you can map the two together. And it's as simple as looking it up on the Res Request side. The system automatically detects the code that's set up on the Where To side for the same item, and you link the code. So you tell the system, okay, this is the property, I want to link it to my Where To account. It looks up the code. And yeah, once it's set up and mapped in Res Request, when you create your itinerary on the Res Request side, you can generate the Where To itinerary directly from your Res Request system. It's that simple. It really is a straightforward integration.
Thanks a lot, Angie. That really does highlight it very well. Now I'm going to move to you, Joel, and just talk about your experiences. I know that with your over 20 plus years experiences in Res Request, you probably do have a lot that you can offer in this regard. And I'm quite curious just to see basically in your experience, what areas can our clients explore as part of the CRM? Because I think we need to keep into that conversation of CRM and look at how can we connect with our customers, keep their interest. It is equally important to listen and respond to our customers, obviously, because when you have your online branding and our customers get their customers maybe on Facebook, Instagram, or on their TripAdvisor platforms, their customers commenting. It is as easy just to have that platform for our clients, for their clients to talk. It is just as important for them to be able to respond to those comments and make sure that they're keeping up their brand going. So and retaining their relationship with their customers. So I'm just curious, Jill, on your experience with this, what CRM opportunities are there, and what strategies can our clients embark on for CRM?
Thanks, Ntando. And yeah, it was interesting that obviously Paul elaborated on the offerings with Where To, and then Angie's sort of finale line there was, it's really simple, and it is literally on the booking. You go to where you normally generate your reservation summary. If you've got a Where To integration, there's a button that says push to Where To. And if everything's mapped and that mapping is automated, it's very simple. with CRM, it is actually very simple, but there are hundreds of touch points with your customer. And that's what often makes it seem like a very daunting area to address. So yeah, I'm very pleased to be able to have this conversation with as many of the attendees that are here today. And I'm going to do my best to cover as much as possible, but keep it as high level, because CRM is a very big topic. So in a few minutes, to quickly give you an overview of all the touch points that you could consider and should consider, I've got quite a big task ahead. So this diagram that you're looking at now should help us just have that conversation. It's a lovely memory piece for you to walk away with and to maybe build your CRM strategies from. Just looking back traditionally, CRM used to often be overlooked. And this is because there's been a misperception that when you compare your cost and your income for a specific business strategy, there's often no direct income related to CRM. So often it's been overlooked in the past as being, well, let's rather focus on online distribution or other strategies like that. But actually more and more we're seeing, especially with experience-based destinations, that marketing teams are recognizing the strength and the importance of driving your sales means that you have to have a very strong CRM strategy. And hoteliers are slowly addressing that if they put in the effort, they will get financial returns. And that is, again, by placing effort in this area. And you'll notice that I said placing effort in this area, not by simply placing effort in this area, because just to be clear that a relevant, effective CRM strategy is hard work, and it's made up of a number of moving parts. So there's a lot of areas that you are juggling with to put together an effective CRM strategy. A lot of clients want one sort of, can I have one application, please? And that can be my CRM strategy sorted. And it's not that. And this is because you have many touch points where you're engaging with your customer through the entire life cycle of that customer. So it means that an effective CRM strategy is actually made up of a number of strategies for each of those touch points. In addition, you're generally looking at, you've got slightly different touch points if you are dealing with your direct guest versus when you're dealing with your agent. And make no mistake, you have to have a CRM strategy for both. And the most effective example that I saw on one of our clients' sites when I visited, they had actually put a massive whiteboard up in their marketing department. And on this whiteboard, they had highlighted all the touch points that they had with customers. And from there, it was like a spider chart. They then had these little branches where they summarized strategies for each of these areas, and each of those strategies had specific KPIs. And that big whiteboard formulated their overall CRM strategy. So it wasn't just one area, it was a whole across the board, from the time the client starts showing interest right through to the time the client has stayed at the hotel and departed, and thereafter departure. So the flow chart you see is an explainer flow chart that I use when I work with some of our customers and have that conversation about CRM. And from here, they're often able to identify what those touch points are and then determine the strategy. Now, Res Request doesn't solve end to end of this. It requires Res Request being part of different areas of this high level viewpoint. So I'm going to touch on very quickly where we can help you and just highlight some of the key ones. There are many, but it's a bigger conversation, but I'll certainly put some nice ideas to dress the bride in this area. First of all, and again, remember that you're dealing with direct guests and agents, but first of all, the first stage of engagement with your customer is always when that person is inspired to travel. And again, on the direct guest side, it could be that that person shows an interest and goes to Google and starts searching a trip in Africa or a trip in South Africa or in the Mara, wherever. But they're showing that they are interested in travel. And there are different touch points that you can use in order to determine, hey, this person is interested in me. Can I reach out to them further? And last week's seminar on marketing did touch on that. We had some lovely panelists, so do listen in on ideas of how you actually catch that market, how you use Google SEO in order to leverage it. And obviously, there's a lot more than just what we discussed in the web series, but these are just ideas to point you in the right direction. The next stage is when that interested party wants to research those options even more, and they really start to dig in deeper. So perhaps they've been inspired to travel through social media. Perhaps you've had a travel blogger or vlogger that's come to your hotel and is now sending the message out, or perhaps you've had an advert in a magazine, or you've increased your Google SEO, but they've become inspired to travel to you. The next stage now, they start the inquiry process. So they now start generating leads. And during that process, it's very important that you're able to track it and inspire them to really hook them into that business. And that's where tools like Wetu's beautiful digital itineraries really become important, because you're still in the process of actually negotiating with that prospective traveler. Obviously, if we're talking about an agent in this particular point in the cycle, there we might be talking about something slightly different. You need to ask yourself, have you made sure you've equipped your agents with the necessary material that they need for their potential guests to be traveling to you? Have you ensured that there's a connection of your system to that agent system? And we touched on that last week, to make sure that they can look up your information, to make sure they can see metadata, in other words, information about your lodge or hotel, and see pictures and really get inspired to also send their guests, and make sure that you've got your commercial terms up to date with them as well. So a number of things that are involved around that. The next area is then actually making the booking. So once you've inspired that lead enough, they'll want to make the booking. You need to ask yourself, have you given them everything they need in order to actually make that booking and feel confident? And last week we touched on the importance of addressing things like safe travel norms around COVID, etc., to really hook that booking in, providing them with the correct rates. And that's for your direct users as well as your agent users. And we touched on that again last week, but it's using things like the race request booking widget, making sure that's in your site, making sure the pictures are up to date, making sure your rates that are feeding through are correct. And it's making sure you've got all those elements embedded in the site, and also giving your customer comfort. So that's one of your touch points in CRM. When that booking comes in as well, you also want to make sure that you've got the right codes that are linked to that booking. So for reporting that comes later, you need to make sure that you've set up your widgets, your ResNova widget, if you're using ResRequest to do that. You need to make sure that your agent is linking to the correct rate type so that you can report on that. So all of that forms part of your CRM as well. The next stage where you have a touch point with your guest is actually when they travel to the lodge itself. And there we have a whole lot of lovely tools to help you starting to build your CRM functionality. For example, in version 733, which was released earlier this year, and all our clients are now upgraded to 733, we introduced something called automated workflows. Now, what an automated workflow means is you can set up a rule where at a specific time or date, an automated email will be sent out to the contact of that booking to say to them, we see you're about to join us in the next couple of days. If you click this link, you can go in and add your information as a pre-check-in for us. So again, it's just encouraging guests to engage with you, to give you their details at that point in time. And then, of course, you get to the moment when they arrive at the lodge, and you need them to actually do the check-in. And we've simplified some processes around, instead of having to fill in forms, we now have more contactless check-in forms that are available to you as well in version 733. During their stay with you, we have the ability in ResRequest to also keep information updated about their experience with you so that you can use that later on in your reporting. But it's very important that once the guest gets into the lodge, that you, as far as possible, are able to get their information loaded into ResRequest so that you can then use that information for other purposes later on. We've got quite a few clients that have very strong CRM processes, and this is where Raise Request really does fit in quite well and nicely in CRM, where we've got clients that on a daily or weekly basis will go in and make sure that all their guest profiling is updated in the system, so that for return guests, you've got that information on file that you can really build up that experience when they return to the lodge. You can speak to them about, or you can see on their profile, last time they were here, they went to the village, they gave a donation, they were interested in some of the initiatives that we were doing. And once that guest arrives, you can have some nice, fresh conversation pieces for your game rangers or your GMs to be actually conversing. And again, it's all about that experience-based destination, creating that experience. Once the guest leaves the lodge, it's not over. That's when the work continues. And obviously, if you do a really good job in the process all that way, in theory, once they leave, you'll have a nice, loyal fan base who will be following you on your social media, who'll be promoting you with content that they glean during their stay with you. And then the idea would be that they will then become a repeat visitor to you again. And during that post-travel stay, you might want to source some information from them, like find out what their experience was like. Or you might want to know if they've gone online and spoken to other platforms like TripAdvisor, where they've actually mentioned you, and you might want to find ways to collaborate and consolidate that information. And that's why David is here from Guest Review. He's going to tell us a little bit more about how you can consolidate all that information to see what kind of trends are taking place there. So this graphic is really intended for you just to understand the stages of all the touch points you have with your guests and with your agents, and where Raise Request can play a role. But again, it's not just Raise Request playing a role. There's normally a number of other strategies involved in that. Before I close up, there's just one more area I want to cover with you, which is a kind of a did you know, because these are really important areas for you to be aware of. And that is, Raise Request is a very important part of your CRM strategy, because later on, if you do connect up to other CRM tools, or if you do want to use that data, you need to make sure that the data in Raise Request is clean and well looked after and well structured. And often this requires a lot of conversations and a lot of buy-in from everybody in your organization to understand what you're doing with the data. We inevitably get the complaint from clients saying, how do I stop my front desk users just duplicating guest names? They just ignore the fact that the system says to them already exists, and they duplicate it again, or they don't put the data in properly, they just put a TBA in. And we get a lot of clients asking us, how do we do this? The best way to do it is to get buy-in from your team, that they understand the value of CRM and what they're actually gaining from it. So for Raise Request, it's very important that you're always cleansing your data, and you're always making sure people that are putting data into your system are high-level people that understand the value of that data. For example, when you put data in, when the guest, whether the guest goes in and does a pre-check-in online, or whether they do a contactless check-in when they come to the front desk, when they exit the hotel, if you have signed up for a product like Guest Review, we have an automated interface that Guest Review every morning, the following morning after the trip, or however many days later that you determine, will go into Raise Request electronically, pull out those guest lists and send them a lovely letter saying, it was wonderful to have you. We've got a survey. We'd love to hear from you if you'd like to give us your feedback on your stay. And it's also a lovely way just to engage with your guests post-travel. But that can't happen if the user at the front of house is capturing data incorrectly or is not capturing data at all. So it's very important that you have checks and balances in your lodge as well to make sure that this is done correctly. We also have an agent CRM module where we track the agent profile. We're able to actually determine, you set up what that profile is, and then you can pull reports based on that profiling information, as well as if you want to track engagements that you have, touch points again with your agents. So when you meet with them at conferences and various other events, you can store that information. In Raise Request, we added towards about the end of last year, we added a lovely chart on your agent profile. So if you go into your agent record, we have a lovely chart called an agent overview. And in there, you can track the engagement you've had with your agent, and then you can see the total number of sales that spawned after that period of time. And it's plotted on a lovely chart. I think it's about a 12-month process view that you get. And you can see, okay, my consultant met, or sales consultant met with the agent on that date, and it definitely spawned some lovely new bookings. In addition to that, as you heard from Tom earlier, we have an integration to Res Insight, and Tom has built some of the most amazing charts for some customers who really are interested in this space, where he can build these sorts of analytics customized for your requirements based on what you want to see the engagement with your agent or guest is. On the guest CRM level as well, we have this lovely integration to Guest Review, which David is going to talk to you about in a moment. And then, of course, reporting on CRM, as I said to you, we've got Res Insight, but we've also got our own lovely reports. In addition to what I've mentioned to you about the dashboard, we do have some reports that can be extracted in a matrix format. So you, for example, you can say, I'd like to see all guests who are having a birthday in July next year. And from there, you can derive a mailing list, which can be imported into MailChimp or your campaign manager for you to then send that email campaign. Then in ResRequest, you can go back and you can set up a bulk action on those guests to say, right, all these guests have been sent a notification using for their July birthday notification. So again, CRM is a very big area. It does require that you need to sit down, blueprint all these different moving parts, and then come up with multiple strategies. I've just touched on a few, and if you'd like to know more or just have some conversations like this, please contact our offices and we'll help you out a little bit more. Over to you again, Ntando.
Thanks a lot, Jill. And yeah, we've definitely seen that it's quite important to massage existing relationships with your customers, because the spend conversation in their heads has already been done. They know how much you are. They don't need to reconsider that this is how the cost factor. So the cost factor is already done. Now it's what experiences did I miss the last time? And statistically speaking, we know that 33% of repeat guests spend more than new guests. So it is quite necessary and important to do exactly everything that you've just been talking about, Joel. So thanks a lot there. I'm about to move to you, David, and for you to also expand on this. And I know I basically glossed over your profile earlier, just so for everyone who's listening. David, as I said, works for Guest Review, helping hospitality professionals easily gather their customer feedback and manage online reputations for our customers. And Guest Review is an award-winning automated guest survey product and online reputation collection and consolidated reporting product. So to you, David, this is actually on a personal note. I am very bad with entering guest surveys. You really need to do a lot to convince me to enter not just a guest survey, but any survey. But even when I'm been to hotels, it's very difficult. So I'm quite curious what you're going to be telling our clients on convincing someone like me to enter that guest survey firstly, and then all the way to how to massage that relationship and how to manage that online guest reputation. So yeah, I'm very curious then, David, it is a loaded question, obviously, but as a specialist in guest surveys and online reputation management in channels like TripAdvisor, please tell us what are the benefits of monitoring and responding to guest surveys, and explain, if you would, how online reputation matters and why it matters, and how you can help our clients benefit from that. Over to you, David.
Yeah, thanks, Ntando. Firstly, just to Jill and the ResRequest team, thank you for the invite. We do have a great partnership, and it's nice to be part of this all. That's quite a loaded question, Ntando, and you not filling in surveys doesn't promote my business very well, I won't lie. But let me get into it. Firstly, I'll go into this in step by step just to make it easier for everyone to understand. I'd just like to start off first, Jill, with your last slide that you showed. Whether you are a guest review user or not, I can't reiterate enough the importance of the integrity of data used through the whole CRM process. It is extremely important, whether it comes to guest profiling, marketing strategy, communicating with your customers pre-travel, during travel, post-travel. It is of vital importance to have that clean data and make sure that everyone has the buy-in in the organization. So let me start. Monitoring of guest feedback. It's essential to you as an operator, but it is also very important to the guest. As you can see in the slide in front of you now, our motto and slogan is listen, learn, and earn from your guests. The only way you can do that is by obviously monitoring the feedback and firstly trying to get that feedback from them via guest review, via whichever system it is that you use. There are multiple platforms out there to do it, comment cards. It all just depends on how it works for you and what works best. But monitoring feedback is of vital importance for you to better understand where your establishment is succeeding and where you could be falling flat. Not based on only staff views or what people are saying internally or a thumb suck for any of the raise request clients that need to report to owners and boards and directors and all of that. It's not you actually just trying to make things better, but it's based on what the guests who are paying to stay at your establishments are saying about their experiences. Secondly, you get honest business insights from the questions that you set on customer surveys. And we have a great API integration with Res Request, as Jill mentioned, that makes that an automated and a very easy process. And those honest insights, from the guests help you to make operational decisions, whether it be room upgrades, menu choices, service-related changes, staff training, changing your management, your marketing strategy. You can get all of that feedback from the surveys that are sent out, and it's directly to you, which is obviously the way you want it to, before people go and complain or say something on any of the public sites, which we will get to in a bit. And then, obviously you want monitoring that, everyone wants to know what people are saying about their experiences at their establishments, and making it easier to consolidate and read and respond to those reviews, no matter on what platform it is said, direct or on a public platform online as well. Then the importance of responding to a review. Think of it this way. If a guest of yours, happy or not happy, decides to announce in front of 20 other people what their experience was with your business and how things went for them, would you respond to them, or would you simply stare blankly until they went away? I think everyone's going to choose to respond. And it's really that simple. Responding enables you to control as much of the dialogue as possible with the guest, whether it be a positive or negative review. The review paves the way to a strong foundation with your guest. It builds trust and allows you to let the guest or the public know, depending on where the review's been left, what your side and what the other side of the story is. We all know that there are three sides to a story. So we all believe it. I've been in the hospitality industry long enough. The guest is always right, but sometimes they aren't. Okay. And it also lets the guest feel important, that you're actually listening to what they're saying, and you're hearing and responding to them, tells them that they're not just, it's not just going into the ether and nothing's going to happen with it, which in turn, all of the points above build that guest loyalty, and the guests are going to want to return because they know that you care about what they are saying and you're actually taking the time to respond to any of their reviews. Again, no matter the platform. Then we get to the online reputation management side of things. Wrong way, Ntando. Yeah, thank you. Okay, online reputation is in a simple way, what we call ORM, as short, is the monitoring and responding to all reviews on a multiple and different platforms. So let me give you an example. For all of you guys that are on the ground and running hotels, working in hotels, lodges, different establishments, you have reviews on TripAdvisor, Booking.com, Google, Expedia, Hotels.com, Travelocity, Facebook, Safari Now, SA Venues, and Agoda. And that's only 10 of them that I could quickly think of. Which means you have to have, well, would have or should have someone that is dedicated on a daily basis to go and log into each of those individual review sites individually, read all of the reviews that have come in for the day, respond to that review, move on to the next review, or alternatively move on to the next platform 10 times a day, and probably not only once a day. You might need to check that twice a day. Okay, so this is where guest review comes in, and where we make things a little bit easier, or a hell of a lot easier, and make your lives easier, is we go and we consolidate and we collect all of those online reviews. We currently are sitting on about 42 online review platforms that we collect from. We display all of those reviews on your establishment dashboard within guest review. And to make your life a little bit easier to know when those reviews are coming in, we'll send you an email notification, which also helps with quick and efficient replies. So that's multiple platforms, multiple reviews, all in one application for easy reading, responding, reporting, and an added bonus. We can also help with the competitor set tracking. Sorry, it's a bit of a mouthful. Within guest review as well. As you know, with everything moving to online these days, people are more inclined to go and leave reviews on all of these different sites, as well as if they are making bookings through the OTAs, they will be prompted to leave a response 48 hours after, or a review, sorry, 48 hours after checkout date, whether it be Booking.com or Expedia, for example. So, to go and get those reviews, and as I say, to try and manage each of those individually, we can make your life a hell of a lot easier and more efficient with a one-stop solution for all of your reviews. And it's really as simple and as easy as that. It's not simple, I won't lie. We have a great support and dev team that manage all of this for us and do all the things that they are best and specialize in. But we can most certainly make your life a lot easier when it comes to feedback, managing that feedback, and also responding to all of that feedback. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, David. Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah, so really good information there on how our clients can handle all of this. Yeah, so just now I'm going to go to you, Angie, back to you. So just let us know what's available now in Res Request, what tips and tools and tricks that our clients can utilize where all of this is related, and any other popular features that you think these are your top 5 best features. So can you just basically share those trending features that our clients are utilizing in ResRequest?
Absolutely. Thanks, Ntando. So the one that's hot at the moment is our new ResNova booking widget. It's got some awesome little features that's been released with it. It's mobile responsive, so people can make bookings on their cell phone. They can make a payment for their booking, either deposit payment or payment in full. We've connected with various payment gateway partners, which were not part of the ResNova 2 booking widget. So for those of you who are using a payment gateway who held back from using ResNova because of that limitation before, please reach out to us and ask for more information, because we have now added a whole bunch of payment gateway partners that were not on ResNova before. So it's really just a nice way to reach your direct booking market. The plugin, you can pop it in on your website, really easy, and it just flows beautifully. It really is lovely. Yeah, so and then just to top it off, we've added something Jill touched on earlier. We've added some automations here or there that we're still expanding on this, but a nice part of this one is that it automatically sends the guest a confirmation email with more information where they can continue with the booking process or the check-in process later on. So it really is a nice, well-rounded way of making a booking online. If we can hop onto the next slide, the next item that everyone's talking about, which I mentioned with ResNova as well, is online payments. So it's all about automation these days. Guests want to be able to do everything simply, easily online. The easier you make it for them, the more chance you have of securing that booking. So we have book and pay now features through ResRequest. You can send them a deposit reminder with links to the documentation so that they know how much they owe you, that kind of thing. And then when guests are checking out, at that point, you can also request payment using the payment gateway integrations. So it really is just a nice, quick and easy way to collect payment from your guest. Let's hop over to the next one. Something that's also a hot topic at the moment is our new rooming calendar, which we refer to as our modern rooming calendar. It's got some really nifty little features, such as drag and drop functionality. So if you want to change dates of a booking, you can just click on that booking and pop it down to the dates or a different room, pop it down to another room if the guest needs to upgrade or change rooms for whatever reason. We've also got an auto room function, which is really, really handy, talking about efficiencies today. If you've got a high volume lodge where you've got lots of bookings coming in at the same time, or a very busy period such as December over that Christmas period, we've got all these bookings that you need to room. Our auto room function actually does that all for you. It finds the most appropriate spot for each booking, and it's actually using that auto room function as a way to minimize dead nights so that you can absolutely maximize that occupancy, especially over those busy times. So yeah, that's a really great one. If you are not using the modern rooming calendar yet, please contact us. Let us show you how. Let us give you a tour and let us show you all the nifty features that come with it. And then the next one is our dashboards. Oh, sorry, I'm one ahead. Okay, let me go back a bit. I'm getting all excited here. Another big thing to look at is your brand, especially with, again, more direct guest interaction. Your brand is just so important these days. You want to look good. So looking good from your itinerary side to, post-travel side, everything we've spoken about up to now. You want your login page to look good as well, especially if you're directing agents and guests to that page for whatever reason. So if your login page needs a redesign, please chat to us. We've got some amazing templates that you can choose from. And as you can see from the examples flashing through here, there's so many options. And some of them that we've done lately are just absolutely beautiful. I mean, you guys have been sending us some beautiful pictures. So yeah, give us a shout if you want to revamp your login page. And then the one I got a little bit too excited about is our dashboards. This is just a really nice, centralized, quick, easy way to see what's going on in your business. At a glance, you want to see your revenue this year compared to last year at the same time. You want to see how your bookings are performing, how your agents performing, your reservationists. You want to see how different properties are performing. It's all about numbers right now. And it's just a really quick, easy way to see at a high level how you're doing. And then if you really want to get into the nitty gritty and get really fancy, we've got an integration with Resin Site where they go into a lot more detail. It's very similar to what Tom was showing earlier, where it's a lot bigger than the ResRequest dashboards. The options are a lot more, it's a lot more customizable. So if you really want to start looking at your data, playing around with it, converting it to pivot charts and all that fancy stuff, give us a shout. We can get a demo set up for you with Tom, just so you can see what the possibilities are. It's absolutely mind-blowing when you start looking at this stuff. And then last but not least, we've got Tourism Today as well, which is just it's just amazing what this tool is doing, just confirming the things that we're seeing in terms of tourism trends. Where are bookings coming from? What does forecasting look like? Who do you need to be marketing your product to right now? You know, that kind of thing. So yeah, and again, if you want a tour of that product, let us know. We'll set it up for you. And then next slide, Ntando. Yeah, and then just to, I know a lot of you contact us on our support site or on a support email or in a WhatsApp chat, and there's a whole bunch of beautiful people behind it. Our support team, there's their pictures if you don't know what they look like. And we offer the service where we talk to us, tell us what you need, and we'll chat to you about it, especially the stuff that we've covered today. If we've highlighted any features that you're not sure about, or you want more information, or you just want to better understand how it can benefit your business, pop us a line. We'll chat to you about it and just help you through that process and help you better understand how to stitch everything together. Because yeah, it can be daunting. There's so much on the go. There's so many endpoints, like Jill mentioned, and sometimes you just need somebody who's got a little bit of information on all of these things to pull it all together with you in a collaborative effort. So if you want to chat to us, let us know. If you need a demo on a partner with one of our partners, with David, with Paul, with Tom, let us know. We can set that up for you as well. Yeah, and that's me. Thanks, Ntando.
Thanks a lot, Angie. Yeah, thank you so much, everyone. It's been very informative. Basically, it's good to just see what are the different touch points that our clients can have in communicating better with their clients, in better branding themselves and making themselves be of the 21st century. We are a little bit late. We ran over time by 2 minutes, which I think our guest from last week will definitely be able to forgive us, because last week ran over for about 45 minutes. Thank you so much. We definitely ran through that. And I know that Jill likes the word run right now. Thank you so much to everybody for joining us. And then obviously we have one more week that to go through, and one more show to go through next week. And next week we'll be talking about the trilogy all hoteliers should consider. So next week we'll be basically covering interfacing to POS, managing your stock, and then obviously how to post that with your ResRequest into your accounts. So please just go online, sign up on www.resrequest.com/webinars. And then we are super, super excited to see you next week. Thanks, everybody, and goodbye.